Hi, this is Sherry Lewis. The big game is on. Every season in the world of sports, there's one special game that everybody looks forward to. It's often the game that decides the championship. Athletes and sports writers call it the big game, and every team has its own big game. The game sometime in the season that it must win to stay in that championship race. Well, whether in sports or in life, everybody likes to win. Every boy, every girl wants to be a champion. Boys dream of being part of the baseball team that wins the World Series or the football team that wins that Super Bowl. And girls imagine themselves as the world's champion figure skater or an award-winning actress. Oh yeah, it's fun to win and to be on top. But more important than all of the athletic contests of the season is the game of life. In many ways, you see, living your life is much like playing sports. You've got to follow the rules, be a part of the team, stay in good shape, and try your best if you are going to win either the games you play or the one life you will live. And in this lesson, I'll be pointing out some ways that will enable you to be a winner. You'll learn things that'll help you win at whatever you try, but I am most interested in helping you find ways to win the big game, your game of life. There's no secret to anything in this lesson, no magic formula, I'm sorry to say, but what you'll be hearing and reading are discoveries made by many champions through the years. I will simply share with you the ideas that have helped thousands of people become winners at whatever they've tried. By following these rules, you too can win your own big game. Now, the first thing you have to do is stick to your task. One of the most important things you need to help you in winning is stickability. That funny word. It means you can stick with a task until it's done and done right. That's true in sports, in school, in business, in science, in everything in life. If you want to be a real winner, you gotta hang in there. There are at least 3 main steps in the stickability that we're talking about. First of all, you've got to believe in yourself. Oh, think back for a moment to lesson 1 of this program. Remember we talked about the tremendous power of believing. Remember that ant and the rubber tree plant? Well, you, like that ant, are a wonderful creature. You have inside of you the power to do many things that may at first seem impossible. Believing in yourself is the key to unlocking that power. Let me tell you a story which will help you understand just what a person can do who believes in himself. Abe Lincoln, one of America's greatest presidents, had very few of the advantages which all of us enjoy today. But he knew he had great abilities. So he studied by firelight. He worked hard. He lived honestly until he finally became a lawyer. But he didn't stop there. He knew he could help the nation by working in government. He lost several elections. Did you know that? Yeah, he lost. But he kept on trying, and finally he was elected to Congress. And eventually, as you know, after most men would have given up, he became one of America's most courageous presidents. So decide what you want to do, believe you can do it, and keep on trying until the job is done. Second, practice, 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 practice. To be really good at anything, you got to practice constantly. The very best musicians practice every day. The most successful actors and actresses never, ever stop practicing. The most skilled surgeon in the world would lose much of his skill if he stopped operating for several weeks or months. Every athletic champion knows he must practice regularly to stay on top. And the last thing is, refuse to give up. Everybody wants to give up. Everybody. When the going gets rough, but a champion won't quit. Champions stick with it. You ever hear of Admiral Richard E. Byrd? He became one of the great explorers of history because he refused to quit time after time when disaster struck. Admiral Byrd was once marooned all alone for 4.5 months in a tiny shack in the Antarctic. For most of those long months, his radio was out and he was too weak from illness to even turn the crank on his standby hand-powered radio. Temperatures plunged to 80 degrees below zero, but Admiral Byrd lived through his ordeal, and he made exploring history because he would not give up. Sticking with the task will help you to win a lot of games. In fact, stickability is often more important than talent, and the same will be true when you're grown and working at an occupation. It really will. As you grow older, you'll find that work and play have an astounding amount of things in common. Let's talk for a moment about some of the ways that work and play are alike. First, both work and play are very important parts of your life. While you're young, you probably spend most of your time playing. Well, playtime for you is the time when you are learning about yourself, how you feel, what you can do, you know? Playtime is also a time when you're learning how to get along with others. You grow in the play world from being a selfish little toddler who wants to keep all his toys to himself to a person who can share, play on a team. You learn how to give and take. You learn valuable skills that you will use later in your career. At the same time, work is a part of your life. You have jobs around the house, or you may even have a part-time job, such as a paper route or babysitting, right? Well, as you grow up, you begin spending less time at play and more time at work. But even as an adult, you'll keep on playing, and your playtime will keep on being important to you. Work and play both make life good, but it's amazing how many people don't believe it. They think play makes life good, work makes life bad. But take a look at somebody who can't work for some reason. Is he happy? No, to him, it's just like being sick all the time, and you know that's no fun. You see, in working, you are making something or doing something that you can be proud of. You get a great sense of satisfaction out of doing something well, and if you can do a job better than anybody else, that's just as good as playing a game better than everybody else. I mean, if you couldn't work, you'd miss out on an awful lot of enjoyment. The man or woman you want to become is one who can make important decisions, one who can take on responsibility and be good at his job. You learn this kind of responsibility by doing well each job you have now, and then taking more important jobs and doing well with them. And as you take on jobs and do them well, you're preparing. You're preparing for the day when you'll become your own boss. When mom and dad give you jobs to do, they're not tying you down, taking away your freedom. They're helping you to grow up so you can have even greater freedom and independence. So you can see how important work as well as play is to you. For work doesn't just teach you a way to make money. It's the path to the good life, to the really good life. A person who knows how to play well and how to work well is really a winner in this game of life. That person has the courage to win. Winners are not always handsome. They're not always tall. But do you know what they always are? Brave. They have a huge amount of courage. So since you want to be a winner, let's take a look at what courage is and how you can acquire it. What is courage? Well, I think more than anything, it's an attitude. It's a certain attitude toward yourself and toward everything about you. It's an attitude that says, hey, I'm taking a big chance and I know it. I could fail, but I'm willing to take the risk of failure because I never can win unless I risk a little failure. Well, there are many different ways to be courageous. A soldier who puts his life in danger during a battle, or a little girl learning to walk with crutches. They're both courageous. For you, courage may be the true grit that keeps you at a tough task until you conquer it. In fact, courage is a lot like the stickability we talked about a moment ago. Jim Street was quarterback of his football team. The team was playing for a championship, and the game was almost over, and Jim's team was behind. Oh, they had to have a touchdown to win. It was the 4th down and long yardage. What should Jim do? Well, the safe thing to do was to punt and to try to get the ball again before the game was over. But Jim talked it over with his coach, and they decided to take a risk. Rather than punting, Jim would pass. To throw a pass was very dangerous. If that play failed, the other team would probably score again, and the defeat would be even worse. As many thousands of fans held their breaths, Jim's teammate made a fabulous catch to set up the winning touchdown. Jim's team won the championship, but only because they took a chance on defeat. Now, courage is not just taking risks. Some risks are silly, foolish. The boy who, jumps out of a high tree to prove he isn't a sissy, isn't brave. He's foolish. You don't increase your courage by doing silly things like jumping off high places. You develop courage by standing up for what you believe to be right, even when everybody else disagrees with you. You know, courage doesn't usually mean you have to risk breaking your leg or getting shot. I mean, most often courage means you have to risk being made fun of or losing your popularity. Susan was part of a group of 3rd graders who started cheating on their homework. Do you ever know anybody like that? Yeah, since Susan usually made better grades than the others, they all wanted Susan to give them her answers. She believed it was wrong to cheat, but she knew that if she said no, she would probably lose her friends. Well, now, if you were Susan, what would you do? How would you decide? Would you be willing to risk losing your friends to stand up for what you believe to be right? Susan stood up for what she believed to be right, and while the other girls made fun of her at first, all but one of the girls have now admitted to Susan that she was right. And you know, they've stopped copying homework. Susan is now the real leader of the group, but she had the courage to stand alone for a while. In Susan's case, she had to stand alone against her group. But more often, the situations we face are like Jim's. Winning the game didn't just depend on how well Jim threw the pass. Winning also depended upon every man in the team doing his job. Jim was part of a team that knew how to work together. Yep, winners know how to be on a team. Hey, what does it mean to be on a team? I think it means that you join other people in cooperating to do a job. Each one does his part and depends on the others to do their parts. The team gets more done together than they could if each member of the team were working by himself. When we think of teamwork, we usually think of sports, games. We all know that if a baseball club is going to win games, the players have to be a team. If every man decides he's going to play third base, they'd get beat. Every player must do his own part and help the others. But teamwork is necessary in all of life, not just in sports. Imagine what your school would be like if the teachers there were not a team. What if every teacher decided she wanted to teach the 5th grade, huh? Or what if every teacher decided he wanted to be the principal? Doctors, nurses, and other helpers cooperate as a team to make you well when you're sick. What would happen if all the nurses suddenly decided they just didn't want to work with the doctors anymore? Well, you can see how important teamwork is to all of us. There's a very old story about the great importance of teamwork. An old man who was about to die called his sons to his bedside to give them each his last bit of advice. He handed to the eldest a bundle of sticks, and he said, "Break it." Each son, in turn, attempted to break the bundle of sticks and failed. Then the father untied the bundle and handed each son a single stick, which easily broke. "You see my meaning," said the father. "When we work in teams with others, When each of us does his little job, we can do much more, and we are stronger than any one team member can be alone. Be on the team. It pays off. To get the most from Adventures in Growth, you should listen to each lesson once a day for 6 days. So that the tape in your cassette for this lesson will be in the proper position the next time you want to listen, press the button marked REW on your tape player until all the tape is on the left-hand spindle. You can see the tape through that little window in your cassette. If this is the 6th time for you to listen to this lesson, and if you're ready to proceed to the next lesson, press the button marked Fast Forward on your tape player until all the tape is on the right-hand spindle. The tape will then be in the proper position when you wish to review Adventures in Growth.